Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 20 Zone TV. I've got a guest, Frankie from Hammer's Chat. You know who he is. We're here to discuss all things West Ham, get Frankie's thoughts on the season so far, Nuno, and the emergence of Freddie Potts. Frankie, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, very well. Long time since we've spoke. I used to enjoy the late nights and the bits that you used to do. I haven't tuned in as much because I get my head down. These kids that I'm coaching these days, they drain the life out of me, mate. And I'm walk through the door and I'm asleep by 9, half 9. But I used to enjoy the sort of listening in when I couldn't sleep and all the things that you used to do. So it's good to be back and having a chat, mate.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but in that in that time, we've had three managers, we've had all sorts of chaos. Let's start off at the beginning. What do you make of this season so far, Frankie?
It's a typical West Ham season, back to what we're used to,
Yeah,
opposed to European adventures and all the things that we've enjoyed for the last few years. This is a lot more like what I know as typical West Ham. So, yeah, just making bad choices, iffy transfer windows, not able to put a plan in place.
yeah.
And this is what the outcome is, to be perfectly honest. So, look, it is what it is. I'm
What
very
did
much used
you
to it.
What did you think of the summer window? I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go through it stage by stage. Right, the summer window for me was very bad. Like it was like sell before you can buy and all this rubbish. What did you make of the transfer window, summer one?
Yeah. Again, the problem that I think we had, mate, is we drag our heels with any decision that we make because we've got no long-term plan. We really struggle to make decisions as a football club. So if you have got a plan laid out and this is the expectation, you're not meeting that expectation, it's very easy to turn around and say, based on what we've set, we're not meeting that, so we're making a change. So every time we ever get to a position, last season, Potter was terrible, like
Yeah,
so bad. The end of that season was awful. And it causes us to be in this situation where it's do we back the manager and give him a load of money? But we know the performances haven't been anywhere good enough. So it puts you in this limbo situation where you're stuck, and there's no right or wrong decision there. If you backed him and you gave him all this money and it goes wrong, it looks bad. But if you back him, it's a really tough situation to leave yourself in. So ultimately, mate, I think we dragged our heels too long. If you didn't have the confidence to give him the money at that point, he should have gone.
yeah,
New manager should come in and give that transfer budget at the beginning of a season to allow the new manager to build his team. Instead, we've kind of caused our own situation here, really, which was we didn't really back him. We ended up with a very iffy transfer. I was quite surprised how calm people were with it because I thought there were glaringly obvious gaps that we didn't address. And that worried me. Then we kick off and that all comes to light. And now we've ended up in a situation where Nuno's come in part way into the season, hasn't really got his own squad, don't even have his own staff.
yeah.
We're not giving him the best chance to succeed at the moment. So all round, it's just a very typical West Ham thing to do.
It is typical. It is. Do you think people got a bit blindsided by Potter last year and went, you know what, it ain't his team? Sort of the same excuses as Nuno a little bit, whereas like he come in January, Potter, and he was basically there just to keep us in the league, basically to try and keep us in the league as best as he could. Do you think people got a bit blindsided by it by Potter last year, mate?
Yeah, look, I know that we all don't want this to be these modern day football people who are very, football's nowadays, it's just a situation where we're very fickle. 1 minute fans are backing someone, next minute they go on the turn. I mean, you see it happens so
Yeah,
quickly. It only takes a couple of bad results, and there's some mad suggestions, perfect ones like Newcastle. Not had the best start to the season, a little bit up and down. They start to get on Eddie Howe's back. Now, all of a sudden, they start to get some good results. Last night was a really good game. They got unlucky last night. But what do they expect? Like, they're not going to be a team that challenges Champions League every single season, but he's delivered Champions League football. So I understand that we didn't want to be that club. And actually, West Ham's one of the people who hate to be that we turn on our manager. And we get dug out for it quite unfairly. I think the sort of media are quick to judge us and
Yeah.
say that we're this club who only want perfect football and the West Ham way this and blah blah blah. And I think it's a bit unfair. I think we actually give managers more of a fair chance before we turn on them. We are kind of that typical old school East End, we all stick together kind of
Yeah.
mentality. And I think Potter was given more than enough time to show us to show us something. Yes, you haven't got your team, but show us what you would do if you did have your team. This is what I was always a bit like, okay, if you play the way that you wanted to play, and you could say, look, we're playing fantastic football, but we're not putting our chances away because I haven't got a striker, then it's very
Mm.
easy to go, well, the football you're playing is great. We can see the missing piece of the jigsaw. Go and give him 40, 50 million to sign a striker. But I didn't see anything. I was watching him and thinking, what is this football? I don't even know what you're trying to do here. I don't understand what type of football you're trying to play. So that's where my reservation was, and I would have pulled the trigger at the end of the season. That's when I would have made that change, brought in the right man, and given them that transfer budget.
See, the thing is, I agree with you. I agree with you. The summer window was a bit chaos. Like when I look at it, we needed midfielders, and we go out and literally secure a midfielder like 10 days before the window shuts, and we needed many more midfielders. One player that has come in to the midfield is Frederick Potts. Are you surprised how good he is for us, Frankie, or are you not?
No, and I've been calling for it for ages. I am, again, people will make a lot of comments sometimes on my videos that I'm Mr. Grumpy, I'm Mr. Moany, and all this sort of stuff. But I just tell it as I see it. I'm not someone who gets excited by a player, a youth player, too quickly.
Yeah,
And then, I watch a lot. I've watched the under 21s against Churro. Last night, a brilliant result. George Urphy scored an incredible goal. We played brilliant football. I'm going to get down to Colchester for the cup match because that's going to be a brilliant game. I can't wait to get down there. So if anyone hasn't got their tickets, jump on. I think there'll be a lot of West Ham down there. And look, we're the only Premier League under 21 side still in that competition. Everyone else has been knocked out. We're the only team left. It's a massive achievement for West Ham. So I'm not saying that there's not brilliant potential in that team, but Freddie Potts was always someone who, when you put them out on loan and they're very effective at that Championship or League One level, you start to know that they're ready. Because those divisions, they're very physical. Refs let a lot go. Like,
yeah,
I can't believe when I watch that level of football, the soft fouls that you get given in the Premier League, they clatter into each other and the ref just goes, play on. So it's incredibly physical. And that's a great marker for when you come into the Premier League. Are you going to be able to cope with the cream of the crop, the most athletic players out there? And Potts was coping brilliantly well. Like, Urphy went to Bristol, okay, he had a few injuries which kind of held him back a little bit. I'm still not sure he's 100% ready for regular Premier League football, Urphy,
yeah.
as much as I think he's a great talent. But Potts, I was always like, this kid is ready. He's looking like he can cope with a physical challenge. He's got that. And he played pre-season. And I was so excited because he was looking so good. And that's what I couldn't get my head around either. It's like he's played all of pre-season, almost like as if to say, you're going to be a key feature within the team this year. And then for the start of the season, we never saw him. And it was like, you've just
Yeah,
proved yourself. You're looking amazing. We've stuck with you all of pre-season, and then he's vanished. And
yeah,
it was, but what I also think is brilliant is how he kept his head in those times. He stayed patient. He showed maturity. I'm going to wait for my moments. I'm going to wait for my opportunities. And I think he's taken them with both hands. It's brilliant to see. And something we always crave as West Ham fans, isn't it? Your own coming through.
I agree. I agree. I think Freddie. I think we needed Freddie this season, because I think the way West Ham are playing over the last sort of few weeks before the good results started to come, we were going down, and we needed someone to come in there and literally believe in this team, and but have a fan on the pitch. That's what it is. We need someone who's in the middle of the park and someone who can run around and get stuck in, and Freddie can do that. I agree with you. the pre-season, he was looking good, and then I don't know why Potter didn't try him, but it is what it is, and that's what's really led to his sack, really in the end. Because when you're going with other players and not with a player that is doing well, then yeah. Um, let's talk a bit about Nuno because he's been a bit up and down, right? I I want to give this geezer time. I do. I want to give him like time to sort of embed himself in. What have you made of him coming in? Because then that Leeds and Brentford game still wants me a little bit, and the second half subs against Bournemouth the other day was bad. What are you saying on that, Frankie?
Um, I was very happy when he came in, not for the long term. I've never really seen him as our answer for the future. I never
Yeah,
really felt like he was going to be our next. And what managers are these days? I do get that that would be the argument, but I don't even see him as a 5-year man. I sort of always saw him as the right man to come in and get us out of the situation we're in. A manager who's got full of character, no nonsense, but better than a no nonsense safety manager that you normally get in an Allardyce type or a Dyche. It was a
yeah,
manager who's no nonsense but still plays football. So I was quite happy with that. I thought he's going to come in, he's going to shake things up, which he did because he come in and James Ward-Prowse was turfed out very quickly. But I did say at that time, I hope this isn't a bitter old man situation where he's fallen out with him in the past. And although this is a clean slate at a new club with a totally different situation, I
yeah.
hope he isn't coming in and just going, "You're gone because I'm remembering the past." I think a proper man would come in and sit down with someone, shake their hand, and say, "Look, whatever happened with us previously is gone, it's done,
Yeah.
park it. I'm interested in what you can achieve for me at West Ham." Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of people who have deserved similar treatment to what James Ward-Prowse has had because they haven't
Yeah.
shown commitment, dedication, and giving everything, and they haven't been treated in the same way. So I don't like the fact when there's things where you treat one way and you treat others a different way. I wanted to see him come in and be consistent and say to people, look, if you're not trying to break down walls for West Ham with this position that we're in at the moment, which has got a lot better recently, but we were in a grim situation before the 2 results that we got. And I wanted to see him making examples of those people and say, you will be dropped and we will give opportunities to other people.
Yeah.
So, but he almost stuck with the wrong people. I mean, like you said, those 2 games we had, 2 home games that we really needed to get points from. The side that he put out was so strange. That Brentford game, I didn't understand it at all. Didn't get
Not.
it. Didn't
I
understand
I
it,
completely agree with you on this. Yeah.
and it was really, really odd. No, I do sort of get it. If you've got them players and they're really at it in training and they're showing the right attitude and they're turning up early to training and they're showing that they want to really apply themselves. But what he was dropping people like, and you've got Fernandez in there now, and them extra legs and those extra things that there's no way that he wasn't showing that character in training because he looks like a man possessed for us at the moment. I mean, he
Yeah.
comes on and the amount of times he breaks his back to get back and nicks the ball off people and gets possession back for us. It's brilliant. So yeah, I don't really understand those games. Look, he found the team lineup that we'd all been asking for in the end, and it immediately changed us and started getting us, results. But like you say, then we have that game against Bournemouth. Look, that first half wasn't anything that he'd done tactically. We didn't particularly play well, but we
Agree.
found ourselves in a very fortunate position for some brilliant striker play by Callum Wilson. And at half time, you're sitting there thinking, let's kick on. Let's keep as it is. We're not having loads of the ball, but we've got a threat. Carry on as we are, and that's great. And then I don't know, I'd love to know what happened after 5 minutes, because if he wanted to make that change at half time, why would he have waited 5 minutes in the second half to make it? It's almost like he saw something that Bournemouth did, or I don't know whether he's just had a panic attack on the sidelines and
I think
gone,
he
oh,
gambled. I think he gambled, Frankie. If you want me to be honest.
but what a terrible way to gamble. Like
Yeah.
the gamble is go and get a third on the counter attack, or the gamble is sticking with Wilson because he's got 2 goals, he's on a hat trick.
Yeah.
All right, we know he might get injured. We don't want that. We need him, but that's a gamble. What he did was almost handing the game to him. And the second it happened, I was in here watching it, and I said to me, mate, I said, it's just a matter of how many. Are they going to get 1, 2, or 3 goals? Like, we know that we're not going to score now because we've got no one who can get a goal. This whole Souček as a false 9 crashing into the box thing, that's only going to work 1 in every 10 games. That ain't going to work every single time. You've got to get really lucky for him to the ball to break to him in the box and get a goal. So it was like, it's just how many are they going to score now? And I feared that they was going to get 3. And I've said it, mate, how disrespectful to a Bournemouth team, that are a blooming good Bournemouth team, that you think you can stop playing football entirely, stick every single player behind the ball, not have a striker on the pitch, and that you'll see the game out. They're a Premier League team with pace and great forward players. It was so, and actually that would have spurred me on. If I was the manager or their players and I saw what that manager did, I'd be like, right, we're going to win this. Like, we're going to come. It's
and they should have won, really, though, Frankie.
They should have done.
If it wasn't for Areola, like,
yeah, and mate, but just, it's not just disrespectful for Bournemouth as a team. It's also disrespectful to the West Ham players.
Yeah,
it's disrespectful to think that they can't play some sort of football and see that game out. The confidence, the lack of confidence that instills in the team to say that he has to do that. I get it. Go into a 5 at the back or whatever with some pacey outlets on the wing and a man down the middle and actually trying to have a counter attack. But we didn't. It was literally every single man behind the ball and just hope that they don't score. I mean, I can't play football that way. I don't want to see football being played that way. And but at the end of the day, it was still a fantastic point away from home, a very valued point. It's a point that got us out of the bottom 3. And that's my biggest take from it at the moment, is that Leeds not getting a result means that we are out of that relegation zone. And that is so important, because the psychology of being in there, especially when we got like 6 points behind, that you've got to win multiple games to get yourself out. We've been there before, James. It's horrible. It's the worst, isn't it? So the fact we're out of it is a positive.
Yeah, when we get cut adrift in seasons gone by, it's been our work. It's been right, but to get level on points now is a good thing. The Bournemouth game, I completely agree with everything you said, every word that you said, because I watched that game from start to finish. I covered it on here, and I looked at the game and I thought, why are we defending? Why are we so ultra negative when we're in our best moment? Like, this is West Ham's best moment so far this season. 2 wins back to back, and we're 2-0 up. We should be going and looking to kill the game. And I think it's a mentality thing. I think the problem with West Ham is, right, sometimes we don't know when to just open our arms up or open our legs up and go, let's go for the third one. And if they do score, then you can retreat back to being a defensive shell. I don't understand it. I really don't.
Not only that, mate, but when we've got the squad we've got, it doesn't suit it. We know we're actually not that great at defending. So why rely on the defence? Actually, I think what's been the best part of us at the moment has been that midfield. Yeah. When he took Fernandes off again, I was like, why? Like, that's the legs. That's the man who's actually giving you a bit of respite. That's the man who gets on the ball and carries it upfield or nicks possession off of them and whatever else. And I also said, with Areola, for all of the amazing saves that he did in that game, there's nothing better. And I said this on Gio's show the other day, but you've been there, mate. You've been to away games, whether it's Old Trafford, you 1-0 up, you're clinging on. The best thing when you're defending like that is when the goalkeeper is great at catching the ball, and every time the ball comes over, he plucks it out the air, falls on the floor, and the fans go, yeah. Like, that's the best. Areola's not that keeper. He punches everything. If you sit that deep, every time he comes out and punches it, it's just going to fall to one of their players, and it's pressure on again. You can't. Eventually, mate, if you want to play like that, it's something gives, especially when you've got a defence like ours. And it didn't suit us. We've come unstuck and sort of thrown away a couple of points there, because I do feel we did throw them away. I just hope that that's not a sign of things to come. I want us to be confident enough that if we get a lead like that, carry on playing football. There's no need for it,
I will move on to where do you see West Ham heading this year, Frankie, for you?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd like to think that with, and this is the problem we've got. We've found a team that I believe can get us away from trouble. Is it enough to sort of get mid-table, top half? I think that's a big ask now. I think we're too far. I think we've had too many bad results for us to get completely away from it.
Yeah.
But it is a squad, or it's a first 11. It's not a squad. It's a first 11 that I think will get enough points that we will sit around that sort of 13th, 14th and not have to look over our shoulder. The problem is that's reliant on key players not being missing. And it only would take one or two losses to that starting 11 at the moment. And I'm not sure we've got the backup to replace people. So that's my biggest worry. And we're going into obviously the January transfer window. On the flip side, it only takes a couple of very smart, very good signings. And I think we could be reinforced to a point that we could, again, just 13th, 14th, not looking over our shoulder. But do I trust us to go and make those signings and those clever transfers in January? Not really.
Yeah, so, I think them transfers have to be early though, Frankie, in the window. Like,
and we don't do that, do we?
And that's the problem. You never see West Ham come out on January the 1st and say, right, we've signed a player on loan for the rest of the season. It's always like January the 29th. Do you know what I mean? And I do worry about West Ham because, as we said previous, right, when West Ham get cut adrift, it's hard work. And what you're saying is very true in regards of if a player goes down like a Bowen or a Somerville, for instance, even though Somerville wasn't there at the weekend and West Ham was doing okay, we've got no outlet. And like, if you're relying on Callum Wilson to sort of stay fit for the whole season, then we're asking for trouble because there is going to come a time where he's going to pull up with an injury. And I think what West Ham are trying to do, they're trying to manage Wilson, but they can't manage Wilson and then manage the team as well because like it's like handicapping us at the minute. Do you know what I mean? We're going 2-0 up and then we're letting games go. So,
well, it's a blessing and a curse, isn't it? Because our owners, prior to Wilson finding this bit of form, would have had a lot of pressure to find a striker. But what's happening is something that they love. The board love to see a player like this go like this, and then they'll go, "Oh, that's handy. We don't have to spend our money on a striker now.
That's it, yeah.
In our pocket." That's what they do. So this bit of form, why it's great for West Ham as a team, and we need him to score goals right now. It is just going to make the board go, "Oh, we don't need a striker. Don't worry about that. My Wilson that I signed, he's doing really well." And like you said, if he breaks down and Fulcrew's gone, well, what do you do?
Yeah, I completely agree. Right, players. Let's talk a bit about a few players. I'm going to fire some names at you. Just want to get your quick thoughts on them. What do you make of Kilman for you?
I think Gary O'Neill said it, and how much work that he had to do to keep his concentration levels. I think there's a decent footballer in there. I think it's someone who clearly has a lot of ability, clearly has a lot of talent with the ball at his feet for someone that's a centre half and the sort of size that he is. But he's got issues with concentration.
Yes, mate.
And that's, you can't, in the Premier League, that's a big problem because other teams will capitalise on that all day long. You come up against good strikers, it only needs one lapse of concentration and they'll take advantage of it. So, look, it's a shame. I don't like to see people struggling with issues like that and psychological issues or whatever you want to call it, cognitive issues, whatever it is that they diagnose that he has an issue with his concentration. But it was clear that he had a problem there, and his ex-manager has said how much work they had to do to get him to be able to be a Premier League footballer.
It is a worry when he's like £40 million and he's not like, and the price tag's always going to come back on him. I think we all knew 18 months ago when we signed him, we went, that's too much. But people just went, you know what, just pay it because it is what it is. It's John Clare Todibo. He's like a man who's like, I don't even know how to assess him because one minute he's crap, the next minute he actually looks at half decent. What you saying on Todibo?
He's a bit like one of them throwbacks from Upton Park, isn't he? Like a replica sort of person who is a bit of a lunatic, bit of a nutter. That in the past we would probably have been quite fond of, to be honest, and quite liked his personality and being a bit of a madman. But I'm all for him being a bit crazy. I like a personality and a bit of a character like that. But where it got me a little bit was him being unfit. And he looked really unfit when he first came to us. He looked like he had a massive problem with that. Then we heard from Potter that he weren't turning up to training, or he was late every single day, and he had to be removed from the team because he's just not committed to the squad, not committed to the team, and you can't have a player like that around because it brings everyone else down. So, but in saying that, sometimes managers cope with those types of characters better than others. People couldn't control Paolo Di Canio, but he come into us and he become a big legend for us. So yeah, it's one of those. I think he's the sort of player that if he finds the right manager to get the best out of him, he is a very useful player and a very good player. Unfortunately, Potter and him didn't see eye to eye, and it looked like the writing was on the wall. It looked like he'd maybe played his last game for West Ham. But Nuno seems to be getting something out of him. So if that can continue and it can carry on, then it's a good thing.
And finally, on the players' front, Nicholas Füllkrug.
I'd always said, and I had the bet with Gio. I know you like a little flutter, mate, but I had a bet of him last season that he wouldn't score 10 goals. And they make the stick that I got in the comments about, and I said, look, it's not just injuries. He barely got 10 in the Bundesliga. Harry Kane's gone over there, and I know Kane's a world-class striker. I'm not taking that away from him. But when you're seeing him score 30 goals as quickly as he did, like it was quick, it was bang, 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 look, there's 30 goals. You know, Füllkrug barely got to double figures in Bundesliga. So I said he ain't going to come to the Premier League and score double figures because the Premier League's a much tougher place for a striker to get goals. So I just never saw him as a player that would come in and do it for us and be our long-term answer to a striker. There have been plenty of players that have come and gone that I felt had a lot more potential than him, whether that be Haller or Skamaka or whatever. And it was also just us and injury-prone players. It just never works out well. And yeah, we brought him in. He looked okay for one tournament in the Euros, but how often does that happen? How often is it that there's one tournament wonders?
Yeah, that's West Ham of old, mate. Look, watching someone at a tournament and signing them.
Davor Suker all over again and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Like every time there's a tournament, like, I hate it when there's a tournament on because I know West Ham are going to be linked to about 5 or 6 players who had half decent games in the tournament.
What it comes to again, mate, is lazy scouting.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Where you've got these other clubs who go and pluck a gem out of nowhere and no one's ever heard of them before because they've got proper scouting networks with proper things in place. We don't have any of that. So we just see a player who has a bit of hype around him at that time or looks like he's doing well and it's, we'll go and get him. That's no good. And that's the sort of stuff that we've got to change if we want to stop spending fortunes on players and then them going out the door for a fraction of what we paid for them. We need to buck that trend because we make a lot of money as a football club, but we also waste it as fast as it comes in. So we've got to get better at these signings.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. Finally, Frankie, Liverpool Sunday. What are you expecting from this game, mate? From West Ham?
Yeah, tricky one. I really fancied us against Newcastle. And I sort of got a few comments, is he drunk and has he been on the sauce or whatever? But I just fancied us. I fancied us to turn up. I felt our team, for once, I felt our team and the way we play was going to cause them problems. I'm not sure the Liverpool game does that. I mean, they'll be sitting there rubbing their hands together thinking there's no better fixture for them right now to turn the tide for them.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to be in our face very quickly. And I think they're going to put it on us. And it's all about how we cope with that. I think it's also what worries me with Newcastle. I felt our wide players would give their sort of fullbacks problems. And I didn't think they would have much of a threat to us. The fault of an out of form Salah up against Diouf, who can struggle defensively at times is a bit of a worry. Especially, it's just his positioning at the moment. He's just a little bit raw. He just needs a bit of work on knowing how to sort of position himself, look over shoulder, when to go, when to not go.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit like, but for that, as long as we can, I think, but do you know what as well? But Paqueta, I think, is going to come back, and he knows he's been missing. We've had a game there. We ain't quite seen it through. If Paqueta comes in and he's up for it and he wants to make up for his little game that he's missed for us that through suspension, he could be a very important player. And it's the sort of game that he normally thrives in. It's the sort of game where he likes to prove he's on that level, if that makes sense. Paqueta, sometimes he don't always want to prove it for West Ham, but sometimes he goes, I want to show you that I'd be good enough to play at this level, bro. That's kind of how his attitude is sometimes. So, look, I can't see us getting a result, if I'm honest. I always predict West Ham to win. I can't see us getting a result, but I do think we'll draw, and I'm going to go for 2-2.
I'm a bit similar to you. I think this is a perfect game for Liverpool to come and really change their season. If they want to change their season, we are the team that seem to concede every time we play a team. So we've only kept one clean sheet this season, if my memory's right, and that's Forest away. We just don't keep clean sheets, and this is a team with over £450 million worth of like summer buys in it. Do you know what I mean? If not more than that. So I do agree with you. It's going to be interesting to see if West Ham do get a result out of this game. Then things will start looking a lot more positive, because I feel like, to me, West Ham need a big result against a big side. And I think they've been waiting for this sort of moment. And if West Ham can somehow pull it out of the fire, obviously we are going to need some sort of points leading up to Christmas. We've got some more games coming up. Liverpool, Manchester United on a Thursday night, Brighton away, Villa at home, Man City away, Christmas Day. Like, that's it. And I feel like West Ham need to at least get 4 points, if not more than that, from now to Christmas, and hopefully we'll be fine. Finally, Frankie, one question: will West Ham survive this year?
Yeah, we will. We will. Like I said, I'm fancying 14th. I think we'll survive, but not only will we survive, I think we'll push out of it enough that we will break away from that bottom three, and we won't be worried. We won't be looking over our shoulder thinking, we can drop into that. So, yeah, I think we're going to be all right.
I hope so. I will know more come Boxing Day and see where we're at, because obviously at Christmas, when you're in the bottom three, usually 9 times out of 10 you're going down. So let's hope we're out of that. Frankie, thank you very much for coming on, mate. I really do appreciate it. Do you know what I mean? Go and follow Frankie and Gio and all their stuff over on Hammer's Chat. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to E20 Zone TV, hit the notification bell and all that. And I'll see you again in the next one. Bye.